This program is proudly brought to you by Telecom Limited and Daytech.
It is a fundamental role of government and society as a whole to ensure inclusive and quality education for all and promote lifelong learning. Globally, it's an accepted fact that between 1 to 5 years of age, it is the most important and crucial stage for a child, as the ability to learn starts to develop. Hence, this has prompted the radical reforms in early childhood learning in many education systems around the world. It is captured under the Sustainable Development Goal 4, ensuring inclusive and quality education for all and promoting lifelong learning. Drawing from recent studies on the PNG education system, it has depicted an alarming crisis in PNG. For instance, it is estimated that the proportion of 10-year-olds who cannot read and understand an age-appropriate text, PNG scored 72%. Given the scale and degree of this challenge in the PNG education system in Papua New Guinea, various organizations have embarked on innovative approaches to improve childhood literacy and education. For example, Book Bilong Pikini.
I'm the founder of Book Bilong Pikini. I've been working on this now for more than 17 years. I normally reside in Australia, where we collect all our books and materials for Book Bilong Pikini that we have shipped in. So we do book collections across the country to be able to support our early childhood education program and our library learning centers and library services across the country. The general theme in the world for schools and education institutions across the world, the theme is reading is magic. And reading is indeed magic, and this is what I always say, because reading allows you to understand everything. So when you're at school, if you can already read, you're not just good in English or whatever other language you may speak, but you can also comprehend questions in maths and in science, and so it lifts your entire level of education.
We covered the groundbreaking ceremony of the Book Bilong Pikini's campus at Lays St. Stephen Elementary School, which was supported by the Chow Foundation.
The Chow Foundation is newly established. Actually, it was created in conjunction with my late Sir Henry, my grandfather. Our family has always been doing a lot of philanthropy work across Papua New Guinea. So there's 5 brothers in the Chow family. There's Henry, Damien, Adrian, Ian, and Fabian. So what better way to do it when we can do it together as a family? So I think that was the basis of keeping the legacy going for the Chow family as well. As you know, Papua New Guinea is the largest Pacific nation, Pacific island in the world. But we've got one of the lowest literacy rates in the Pacific Islands. So I think that's a big challenge that we see. I also believe that from the private sector, it's always a lot easier to get things done, as you know. Working alongside with the NGO like Book Bilong Pikini also helps a lot because 1, you can trust them. 2, they've got the experience along with the proof of work that they've done already in the past. I think that's why it's very important for us, and as well for the future generations. I think we're not, as a private company, we're not just here, to make money. We're also here to create a positive impact on the community around us, and especially in Lay. Lay is supposed to be the heartbeat of the country. So, why haven't we been doing so much initiatives like this to actually improve education?
A notable aspect of the Book Bilong Pikini's program is its publications of books.
Book Bilong Pikini, as I said, has been in existence since 2008. So it took us a year before we had fundraised for the first library. And Leanne was one of our very first teachers. And so for 17 years, Book Bilong Pikini has been working on increasing literacy in communities across Papua New Guinea. And every year we celebrate the importance of education, we celebrate the importance of literacy through several activities. So we do financial literacy activities, we do cultural literacy activities. So for example, last year, when we launched When I Grow Up, I Want to Be an Archaeologist, we took the children down the memory lane of history. And so we went over to the National Gallery and Art Museum, where we looked at all the kinds of dinosaur things that have been found in Papua New Guinea, bones from extinct whales. We found, all sorts of teeth fragments. We found old pottery shards and things like that. And teaching the children about the importance of the past to inform the future. So they are becoming quite, fully kind of participating citizens in society as only 5-year-olds. So you can imagine after having gone through this program, they get to school, they're really ready for learning because they've got literacy, they've got financial literacy, they've got cultural literacy. And so this year we want to introduce a new concept, and that is nutritional literacy. This is extremely important for Papua New Guinea, given all the most recent research that has come out. So you might be familiar with, so in May 2024, the World Bank put out their PNG economic update. And this update is generally just what you'd call a snapshot of the economy and how things are going in the PNG economy, and what the World Bank might actually say is their recommendation for what needs to be done in the country. But this year we were very pleased, even if the figures that were mentioned were not necessarily great, we were very pleased to see that their main focus and their main advice to the PNG government is to look at human capital and to look at investing in children, so that education is the most important factor to create this future workforce with children who are well educated. However, there are a number of barriers to this education, and that is that PNG has some of the highest stunting rates in the world. This coincided with the fact that Trukai came to us and said, we've got some very healthy products that focuses on children's health, and we would like to work with you to optimize children's health for education. So together with Trukai, we have developed a program where the children have this new concept, nutritional literacy. And that goes down to the very, very basic level of understanding what are fruits and vegetables.
The rates of malnutrition is alarming. 1 in every 5 children in Papua New Guinea actually suffer from malnutrition. That's an actual fact. And about 70% of children under the age of 5 that die are actually, the underlying cause is malnutrition. So stunting is one of the symptoms of malnutrition. And with malnutrition, what happens is that when it affects children at a young age, it actually continues to impair you for life. It affects your learning in school, and then because it affects your learning, you're unable to learn well. And then obviously when you grow older, you're unable to get good jobs, and then you lead a life of poverty. So, when we were looking at how can we contribute in this area, this aspect, this area where it's a big issue in PNG, and we want our children to grow up to be healthy, to be contributing to nation building in the future. And so we thought here's an idea that we can come in and support. This is a gap that we've identified. And so when we were looking at people that we could partner with, organizations, Book Bilong Pikini was one of them that came to mind. And of course you can see through this week's Book Week at Book Bilong Pikini, there's amazing stories and books that have been created for children that really focuses on education and learning in different areas and aspects. And I think in terms of nutrition literacy, that's really, really important. And hence this is where we're coming in as a food company.
An innovative technological tool that is being increasingly used to improve childhood literacy and education is the application of the e-library. In Papua New Guinea, especially in Ley and the Morobe province, you have an SME that offers e-library setup services to education institutions and communities.
Chayil Information Technology, basically what happened was we started in 2014. We started in 2014 to drive this idea, so we saw the education department of total library, so we started getting into it. We block loading all offline Wikipedia go, and then we saw that time we loading all computers, only 1% per computer can access some information. Somebody suggested that we should go and do something where everybody can access it. So then we were looking Wi-Fi. So we brought an equipment from America. We brought in two equipments. One I'm Rachel, the other one was e-granary. And what happened was we stripped it apart. We studied it and did reverse engineering. Then built our own prototype, and then we started broadcasting the house now. We found out what was required. Then we started building it, and we just got better and better and better. And now after 10 years, we are at a stage where we are far ahead in this Wi-Fi technology. So the thing is, it's basically designed here, built here, programmed here, Lolei City, and we know the mechanics of it.
The Chayil e-library technology can be set up and tailored to early childhood learning modules.
For early childhood, we can tailor it for early childhood. So, if Wallace got a phone there, we set the same system now. We can put like rhymes, ABC, when I'm on something also teach him long elementary year. Now we are telling teachers, give the early childhood a tablet. What we are trying to do is give students tablet or phones without SIM. Our system does not need a SIM card. You can access it through the application on the phone. Internet application like Chrome or Sambla or Narbla or the internet browser. Now you just type in the code. Now you access it. So elementary school teacher, all can put in TV here. Now all about talking about students. Now we learn about ABC. They connect to the Wi-Fi, the ABC, and everything on there, on the Wi-Fi is there. And students are there, not teachers has time to do something else. Now students watching smart TV, or if they have a tablet, they can go and do the ABC and rhymes, now looking Jack and Jill, all that.
A notable benefit is that e-library has been more cost-effective and efficient to set up compared to traditional forms of libraries.
To build a physical library along one place or one school, it will cost you 2 million kina. I will explain. You will buy copper, you will buy cement, you will buy labor, you will buy all get the material. Then you will go, if you are in Salamoa or you start to Pindiu, then we will have to move those equipments now, logistics now, all man by Karemigo, and then go. Now I came back from Bougainville, they only built in cement, and the library was not complete. People stole the money and just disappeared. It will cost 2.8 million kina to put in one building. For us, we got 3 packages, 55,000 kina. The other one is around 88,000 kina, another one is 110,000 kina. That's nothing, Like now 50 school, they'll give me plus 7 million kina. That's 140,000 kina per school. And it takes us only 3 to 4 days to now get into Pindio, set it up and switch it on, all can use it.
Schools which have Chayil ITE library technology have reportedly performed exceptionally well.
When you really look at it at Morobe province, Ley Secondary and Busu Secondary, they've been using that since 2015. Those were the two schools that saw that what we were doing, and then we worked with them, and now we are seeing results, and they are topping Papua New Guinea. They're one of the top 10 performing schools in Papua New Guinea. And in Morobe province, all entitled staff, because students have access to information. That is the secret. Education is key, but information is the master key. Education must be complemented with information.
Despite e-library being a very effective solution to improving childhood literacy and education, it has not been entirely practical for early childhood learning centers compared to primary and secondary schools.
With that, after we received the resolution from the Provincial Executive Council. It has 4 parts. The first one, it says the amount of the money, that's 7 million kina for 50 schools. The second part, given that Chayil Information Technology and MOU, that's what we have been working closely with the governor and the PE. Whenever they are ready, the director, Saint Sina, will sign the MOU with the provincial government. The third part of the resolution is requesting the e-learning division of the Department of Education to collaborate and work with us for the establishment of the sector. The department has an e-learning division, and moreover we have been left out. Also, there are other provinces that they didn't have an e-learning section. The provincial government belong. So, one time this time, Minister Lucas Dekenam looking the potential way. Chayil Information Technology mi plakat so emet countdown launching program na. What you guys are doing in Morobe, mi plak sim you plan na go out to Arab province.
The Provincial Division of Education is taken in key library through reform sector. We accepted them with our PPA, and they already came in. They were allocated 7 million budget to fund e-library throughout the province. But the e-library, we've seen that it will help our teachers and not our early childhood children. Our early childhood children, yes, it depends on the setup of the school. But the program will benefit primary school, high school, and even our TWED schools and the teachers. But for our little schools like ECE schools, they need physical books. When they start to read, they have to get a physical book here and they should read. And they will really boost their learning. So I recommend physical libraries to be set up in whole schools in the province, so that we should see a better result after 10 years.
One of the major reforms that will be undertaken in the education sector is the change of the curriculum from outcome-based education to standard-based education.
Change. You haven't talked long education reform. Senisi come up stop. Now one plus step you may put him now. You may put him 1 plus step, he go ocean. So one plus big talk me like talk long yeah education reform come from outcome based education plan ti pagarabi come up how tribe long public na kain organization ito no government long this black country you must send it in woko you in long education so outcome based only passed him out now you miss him coming to standard based education to set a strong foundation for our children right now is with this group of people, not primary and secondary and tertiary institution.
Although the government has been fully committed to these education curriculum reforms, the retraining of teachers has been somewhat of a challenge. For instance, the short time frame provided for the retraining of teachers to shift from the outcome-based education curriculum to standard-based education.
SBC 2 weeks. Na imi wala ni wana until SBC. 2 weeks na na time. No God. Because of this background now, background, people trying to use him through this SBC can.
Other challenges to curriculum reform include resource allocation and government funding.
Curriculum-wise, early childhood education curriculum has been completed, but that curriculum development division will produce it in batch and supply it out. The department will have to make those curriculums available in our schools, public school system. With outcome based, we still did not receive enough books in the schools. And that was one of the government's failure, where it did not fund in our curriculum materials. The curriculum materials did not reach all our schools. And the failure came in, one of the failure was through failure of government's failure to supply curriculum materials in our public schools. And that's when the entire system was failed. So likewise, currently, Senate-based education will never be fulfilled as planned and designed until and unless curriculum books, curriculum materials are supplied adequately to our public schools, starting from early childhood all the way to secondary and TWED schools. Otherwise, it will be another failed program or failed system again. So the government has to be very mindful and allocate resources to all our schools, including our curriculum materials and funding for infrastructure development as well. These are some of the hindrances that keep our schools from progressing to the next level to deliver the quality education that the government is advocating for. The reform sector, education reform sector, we need provincial government's funding support. That's our major problem right now we are facing. Like right now, as I'm speaking to you, I haven't received the budget for early childhood rollout in the province. I haven't received funding yet. I'm just sitting in the office. I'm not supposed to be sitting in the office. I should visit 10 districts and conduct surveys on how the schools are prepared to accept Senate-based education, especially early childhood education in the province. That hasn't been done.
Good night, viewers. I'm Malcolm Wyra, and welcome to Infocus. For tonight's edition of Infocus, we have an in-depth discussion on the latest World Bank's Papua New Guinea economic update titled Invest in Your Children. Joining us for discussions, we have Mr. Lars Sondergaard, lead education economist for the World Bank in the Pacific. Lars, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Just from the outset, can you explain the core intention of the World Bank's Papua New Guinea economic update?
Sure. As you may know, the World Bank is both a financial bank providing financial resources to countries to address their development challenges, but we also like to see ourselves as a knowledge bank doing reports like this. In the case of this economic update, this is our annual flagship report for Papua New Guinea, where we do an update of the economy, where we present our projections. And then in each of these annual economic updates, we also shine light on a particular topic. And so this year we have put special focus on the importance of investing in education.
Okay. Is it an annually published report?
Indeed it is.
Okay. Now, the May 2024 Papua New Guinea economic update is titled Invest in Your Children. It includes a special analysis on the urgent need for investment in quality education. The report fundamentally identifies an education crisis in PNG. Can you give us an account of the key indicators or statistics that reflect the declining standards of education in Papua New Guinea?
So the most important message we're trying to convey in this annual report is that the most important asset for Papua New Guinea is not its natural resources or its geographical location, it's people. By investing in education, you ensure that individuals become ready to take on more sophisticated jobs and provide greater earnings. There's evidence that suggests that mothers who are more educated raise healthier children who end up themselves having more education. And education is also key for build greater trust in societies and civic awareness and political participation. And there's very strong evidence that if you invest in education, you're going to have more poverty reduction, you're going to have greater economic growth and greater prosperity. So it's really important. Now, in terms of the statistics on education, let me start by saying the statistics shows that you've had very, very big improvements in enrollments. The number of students who are in school have more than doubled in the past 2 decades. The number of schools have doubled, the number of teachers have doubled. And this reflects both very strong efforts by the government to get more children into school and expand the education system. And of course, it reflects the fact that student numbers, or the number of children, have expanded and are still expanding at a very rapid pace. I should also note that Papua New Guinea is a particularly challenging environment in providing quality education for everyone, given the many different languages that you have in this beautiful country, and the fact that you still have a large portion of your population living in rural areas. In terms of the remaining challenges, we highlight that there is still a portion of children who are of primary age who are still not in school. And we're using data on the extent to which students who are in school are in fact mastering these most important skills that schools try to teach us. First and foremost, to read with understanding, and second, basic numeracy skills. And on the reading, if I could just focus on that, we are highlighting that it's the case that about 7 out of 10 fifth graders are not yet reading at international benchmarks, which is being able to read an age-appropriate text and able to answer a few questions about it. So about 7 out of 10 are not yet reaching those levels.
Okay. Now, the report identified various challenges, as you mentioned. The most notable one would be that students are not ready to learn. Could you clarify that challenge?
Indeed, the data shows that as many as 45% of children under 5 are chronically malnourished or stunted. Why is that important for education? It's important because brain scans of children who are chronically malnourished shows that their brains haven't developed as well as a child who have been properly nourished. And these early years of our lives is when the brains are developing the most. There is no point later in our life where our brains are developing as rapidly as they are in these early years of life. And so when you're chronically malnourished, as many as 45% of children in Papua New Guinea are, that means that the brain isn't developing at the pace that it should be, thereby impairing your ability to learn later on in life.
Now, what are the recommendations proposed by the report to address this challenge?
So it's actually a dual problem. It's that many children are chronically malnourished, and also Papua New Guinea doesn't yet have an early childhood education system. Very few children benefit from an early child education system in these critically important ages of age 4 and 5. And why is that important? It's important because many children then arrive at school, either at a very late age, and when they arrive, they're not probably prepared for the education that then confronts them in school. In many countries where they have early child education, ensuring that children are properly nourished, children arrive at school already being able to count to 20, know the alphabet, and are socially, emotionally ready for the learning that is presented to them then in the formal schooling. And so it's all hands on deck for Papua New Guinea to both address the chronic malnutrition challenge, which is an effort to expand primary health care, but also to put in place an early childhood education system.
Thank you, Lars. We now go for a quick break. Join us on the other side for more discussions. Welcome back to Infocus. Now, Lars, to what extent has the quality and teaching in PNG affected the standard of education in PNG, and based on the report's findings?
That's a great question. Let me start by saying that there's now growing evidence that suggests that once a child is in school, there is no more important factor than the quality of the teachers. And so ensuring that every child has a quality teacher in front of them is absolutely critical. We have evidence from Vietnam that shows that if you look at two average second grade students and you look at how they progress over 3 years, one of these average second grade students could be in her top third of her class, and the other student could be in the bottom third of the class, with the only difference being the quality of the teachers that they're being confronted with. So ensuring that there are quality teachers in front of every student is absolutely critical. And in the report, we present some evidence from Papua New Guinea which suggests that on this front, more effort is needed to ensure that quality teaching is available for all students.
Okay. So what recommendations are you proposing in the report?
So the good news is that Papua New Guinea is not alone in facing these types of challenges. And so we know the types of interventions that can help improve teaching in a relatively short period of time. And it's a combination of factors you want to support your teachers with. Let me start by saying, when you think of teachers, of course you can try and recruit, be more selective and recruit and train new teachers into the profession, which is part of the strategy of improving teachers. But you also need to recognize that Papua New Guinea has 70,000 teachers already in the system that is a real strength of the system, and they will be around for many years. So all efforts to equip them with more support and coaching is critical. And in the report, we highlight sort of the magic potion, if you want, that can help make this happen. And it's a combination of things. Providing teachers with structured lessons plans is important. Ensuring that the students all have textbooks and workbooks. Papua New Guinea, half of primary students currently don't have their own textbooks. So remedying that by making sure that every student has a textbook is important. And then third, and perhaps most importantly, providing professional development to teachers on how to use these teacher guides and the textbooks is important. And that training or professional development, what we can see from other countries is that it's not enough just to do one training 4 days in some location. What you really need is ongoing professional support and coaching to teach teachers how to use this material in the most effective way. And then the evidence suggests that in a very short period of time, you create more effective instruction, and you very rapidly see student learning improving.
Now, there are proposals for a mandatory qualification of master's degree for teachers, especially in the high school system. Would that be a practical and pragmatic approach in improving the standard of teaching in Papua New Guinea?
So I think there are two ways of improving teacher quality. One is the qualifications and ensuring that your teacher colleges produces well-qualified individuals to join the profession. But the other one is on focusing on the teachers who are already in classrooms teaching. And as I said before, there are different ways of supporting them, the teachers who are in a classroom. And a really important part of that is well-designed and well-delivered teacher professional development to these teachers.
Thank you, Lars. We now go for a quick break. Join us on the other side for more discussions. Welcome back. You're watching Infocus. Now, Lars, the report also asserts that the one major challenge is the management of the education system has not kept up with its growth. Can you give examples that reflect this trend?
Sure. So one of the challenges that the education system is facing is indeed that there's been a very, very rapid growth in the number of children. That has more than doubled in the past 2 decades. The number of schools has doubled, and the number of teachers have doubled. And that has put all types of pressures on the system accommodate that growth. And what we see in some of these statistics that we highlight in the report is that there are indications that the management hasn't kept up with that growth. One indication is that the critically important school inspectors, you need more of them. Currently, about 90% of teachers are waiting to receive an inspection. Second, it's critically important that an education system provides reliable and up-to-date information on how many students are in the system, how many teachers are in the system, and whether or not students are learning. And right now, the key information for that data comes from a form that schools receive on paper that they then fill out and are meant to send to Port Moresby. But currently, only about half of schools fill that in and submit it by the end of each year, implying that we have insufficient information on these critically important inputs.
Okay. So what strategies would you recommend to overcome this challenge?
Well, a third challenge on the management front is we also looked at the resources allocated to the sector. And what we show in the report is that every year the budget to the education sector has been growing. This is a good sign of government commitment to the sector. However, that annual growth in budgets haven't kept up with the rapid growth in student numbers and the fact that cost of things are growing in inflation. And so what we show in the report is that actually on a per student basis, and after you control for inflation, the per student allocations have in fact been declining since 2013. They've been an upward tick for the past 3 or 4 years, but over that period since 2013, they've declined by more than 20%. And so in the report, we recommend that PNG invests more in education and spend those additional resources on interventions that we know from both from global evidence, but also from evidence in Papua New Guinea, that if you spend it on these interventions, you can dramatically improve student learning.
Now the government is currently proposing curriculum changes from the outcome-based education to the standard-based education. What would you like to see captured in this reform?
That's right. The government is in the process of introducing this new standard-based curriculum. And the key thing in all countries introducing new curriculum is recognizing that teachers need support in teaching that new curriculum. And the students need support as well, which means making sure that every student has a textbook and that teachers have teacher guides and have received training on how to implement that new curriculum.
Now I understand regionally the respective education systems are assessed using the Pilner assessment. Can you give us a background of it?
Sure, indeed. There is a Pacific Island Literacy and Numeracy Assessment, Pilner, which is administered every 3 years in all the Pacific Island countries, including Papua New Guinea. And in Papua New Guinea, it is administered in grade 3 and grade 5 for a sample of students in these grades. And it's from that important assessment that we know how well students are reading, and we also know their numeracy skills. And because it's a regional assessment, we have some sense of how well students in Papua New Guinea do vis-a-vis students in other countries. What's also important is that alongside the assessment of students, questionnaires are administered to head teachers, to teachers, and even to students, providing a wealth of information that allows us to better understand why some students are doing well on the assessments while others are not doing so well. And it's all of that information we've tried to summarize in the report that we've just launched.
So how is PNG performed in that test?
Right before COVID happened and school closures in 2018, about 7 out of 10 fifth graders are not yet reading at international benchmarks for that grade level, which means they're struggling to read an age-appropriate text and answer a few questions related to that text.
Mr. Lars Sondergren, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, viewers, that's all the time we have for this edition of Infocus. Do join us again next week, Monday, on our regular time slot of 7 p.m. Till then, good night. This program is supported by the ABC International Development through the Media Development Initiative.
This program was proudly brought to you by Telecom Limited and Daytech.